Hello friends, in today's lecture we will cover political parties and pressure group. So let us start now. Start with political party. According to Weber, political party is an associative type of social relation in which membership rests upon formally free recruitment. It operates in terms of goal-oriented, coordinated actions and demands from its member a rational direction of their behavior towards commonly acknowledged goals. The goals lie in securing political power and hold it singularly or along with other political parties. Political parties are product of political modernization process that developed in the Europe and America when the feudal society was breaking down and the modern industrial society with democratic values were coming up. Because of economic and social modernization process, a lot of interest groups develop in society representing the interest of different social groups. For example, industrial workers, capitalists, peasants, landed aristocracy, religious organization, secular organization, etc. So parties developed out of these social cleavages to represent and articulate the interest of these varieties of groups. Since interest groups are many in number, the concept of multi-party system developed. Now, von Wem identifies the different social cleavages around which political parties developed in Europe. So what are the social cleavages? First was the liberal versus conservative, the old regime of feudal order and churches. These were conservative, that means old regime of feudal order and churches. Second, workers' parties versus capitalist parties. Third, agrarian parties versus parties representing the industrial system. Fourth, regional parties versus central systems. Fifth, religious interest group versus secular interest group. Sixth, communist parties versus social democrats. Seventh, fascist versus democratic system. Eighth, protest parties of petty bourgeoisie versus bureaucratic welfare state. Ninth, green parties, environmental groups versus growth-oriented parties. Based upon above conflicts, different political parties came into existence in Europe. Now let us see what are the functions of political parties. First one is interest articulation. Political parties clearly define specific interests and articulate those interests to mobilize people. They also try to formulate public policies for fulfillment of these interests. Second one is interest aggregation. In electoral politics, parties can enjoy power in a stable manner if they get majority support. So political parties always try to expand their support base as much as possible. Through aggregating the interests, the political parties try to represent the diverse interests of society to influence more and more number of people. They try to harmonize these different interests and thereby seek to produce a consensus among as many groups as possible, because they have to enlarge their electoral base. Political parties thus act as a very effective mediators in settling disagreement in society by aggregating the interests. For example, Congress Party in India during freedom struggle. So we can say that political parties act as a very effective mediators in settling disagreement in society by aggregating the interest. For example, during Indian independence struggle, we can say the Congress Party was a movement, but we can say as a political party in India during freedom struggle. Now, third function is the communication of interest. Political parties ensures two-way communication process between the government and people. It is mainly through the parties the government is constantly kept informed about the ground demands of the society. Similarly, it is through the parties people get their political information. The parties organize and articulate public opinion in order to bring their opinion to bear on government decisions. Fourth function, political socialization. Political parties educate the people about the major issues and political culture relating to society. Besides awareness and indoctrination, the political parties mold the attitude of the public towards the leader and the system. So, for example, we can easily witness in Indian society different political parties are there, and they have different their own orientation toward the leader and system of the working. Like BJP has different orientation and Congress has different orientation. Now, structure of political parties. Maurice Dowager book Political Party has identified four possible structure of political parties. First is caucus, second is the branch, third is the cell, and fourth one is militia. So let us cover one by one. Now, caucus type party. It is found in USA. Caucus is more like committee comprising of a small number of members. The organizational structure is loose and weak. They do not have any grassroots cadre and well-defined hierarchy. Power is concentrated in the hands of a small committee at the top of party, which is called as party caucus. Caucus is a closed group consisting of individuals who are highly influential. These parties get activated during elections and don't have a strong inner party democracy, and it is the future of stabilized political system like USA. Now, second one is a branch party. Most of the democracies of the Europe have branch type of parties. Even in India, Communist Party can be called as branch party. Branch parties are closed groups. It is not only interested in quality but also in quantity. Thus, the branch is always keen on recruiting as many as possible. Political activities are not confined only to election time. They are carried on continuously. The hierarchy is more defined and precise and capable of grassroots level mobilization. Socialist and communist parties are typical examples of branch type of parties. Even in most of the political parties in India are like we can say all parties, and India is like branch parties. So very high degree of grassroots level of mobilization. So such type of parties are not only interested in quality but also on quantity. and keep on recruiting as many as possible like in India. And here political activities are not confined only to election time, they are carried on continuously like 24/7 politics. So here 24/7 politics it is. Now third type of party, the cell, it is in India, in India also. India also. Now third type, the cell type of party. It is a typical invention of revolution of communist parties. It is much smaller group than branch party. Mostly these parties operate outside the constitutional framework. So they work outside the constitutional framework, use violence to achieve ends. Sleeper cells are also part of cell type of party. How cells are controlled? Cells are controlled by central party. They are not horizontally integrated. The cells are separated from each other, not aware about each other's existence. In normal time, they participate in democratic process but get activated with direction from central authority. Fourth one is militia type of parties. These parties rely on violence to weaken or defeat their opponents. They are trained in certain ideology. For example, fascist party, the autocratic parties, militia, junta of Myanmar, and in most of the in Africa also there are militia type of parties are existing. Now let us see about pressure groups. Pressure groups are those groups who try to influence the formal decision making without directly getting involved. Actually, they are influencing formal decision making in politics. It is all about power politics. They are organized social groups whose members share common interest and attitude and try to influence formal decision making process in the light of these interests without directly taking any responsibility for governance. So they are not directly getting involved, and they influence formal decision making in the light of these interests because they are organized social groups and having some common interest. So they try to influence the decision making in the light of their own interest without directly taking in responsibility of governance. All pressure groups are interest groups, but not all interest groups are pressure groups. The pressure used by these groups may be either economic, social, or political, but unless an interest group participates in bringing some kind of pressures to influence public policy, it doesn't become a pressure group. Thus, various associations of social and cultural bodies are interest groups, but not pressure groups. So, for being pressure group, the influence, having ability to influence, to create pressure, to change the public policy, to influencing the public policy. That means pressure groups influence public policy. We have to remember this term, public policy. For example, Medical Council of India is a professional association concerned with promotion and maintenance of standards in medical education. It is an interest group, but it may not be a pressure group unless it participates in political process by seeking to influence policy making with regard to medical education. Now what J.D. Renand has said. J.D. Renand, while distinguishing between pressure groups and interest groups, has said when interest groups act at political level, They are called pressure groups. Now, pressure groups are not the same as lobbies. Pressure groups are interested in influencing both the legislature and public opinion. The lobbies concentrate chiefly on influencing the legislature and are concerned with the passage or defeat of particular bill. The activities of pressure groups are broader than those of lobbies. Most of the pressure groups maintain their own lobbies. The pressure groups have assumed unused importance in politics of 21st century. It is not unused, it is unusual. Because demands have an important place in constitutional system. According to Ross and Steadman, modern democracy everywhere is characterized by the presence of numerous groups and associations. Pressure groups have been institutionalized in modern political system. According to G. Almond and Powell, pressure groups can be divided into 4 types. First one is associative pressure group, second non-associative pressure group, third institutionalized pressure group, fourth anomic pressure group. So let us see individually what they mean. So let us now associative pressure group. So associative pressure groups having a specific interest and voluntary joining. For example, trade unions, trade associations like FICCI, AITUC, Bombay Mill Owner Association, etc. Now second one is non-associative pressure groups. Membership depends upon the ascriptive or primordial ties. These criteria are also used for mobilization. For example, caste association, religious association, etc. Third, institutionalized pressure group. These groups work within institutional framework of society or state. For example, IS lobby or IS association, different occupational pressure groups. Now fourth, anomic pressure groups. They use illegal means, mainly violence as instrument, to gain their vested interests. For example, Maoist groups, insurgent groups, etc. Now what are the characteristics of pressure groups? These are first one is based on some specific interest, second organized structure, third aim to influence politics of government, fourth do not directly participate in politics, fifth smaller number of members than political parties, sixth influence public opinion and public policies. Pressure groups play a vital role in every democratic state. Individuals having common interests come close together and form a group of protection and promotion of their own interest. In true sense, a particular organized group claim to represent not only those who are actually members of it, but also those who are potentially members of it by virtue of some common characteristic which they share with the group. So let us see the nature of pressure groups. Indirect participation in selection. Propaganda method they use are posters, newspapers, meetings, processions. They use strike, demonstration, band, gherao, etc. They use strong weapons of political. They are the strong weapons of political parties. They indulge in lobbying at various levels, adopt violence method most of the time. After globalization, public policy and the nature have undergone substantial change. Public policies are the result of bargaining, negotiation and compromise between representatives of different sections of society. And pressure groups are playing crucial role in functioning of democracy. Now let us see the new development in pressure groups. Now transnational pressure group, generally regionally concentrated like ASEAN, SAARC, SCO. Second, international pressure group like IMF, WTO, FIFA, UNO, etc. Ecological pressure groups like Greenpeace, gender-based pressure groups, human rights groups like UNHRC. Now, what are the advantages of pressure groups? Interest articulation, raising specific issues, providing alternative platform for policy making, help in preservation, protection of unique socio-cultural resources, restricts biasness in administration and governance. What are the disadvantages of pressure groups? Promotion of sectional interest like particular caste interest, creates disintegration of society and nation. For example, different caste groups create hostilities and disintegration in society. Third, influence public policy to satisfy particular interests rather than integrated common interests. They generally favor dominant group. They hamper welfare state by promoting self-seeking business interest. They sometimes do that. They sometimes encourage regionalism, communalism, casteism. Sometimes we can say in most of the time they do that, like depends on the kind of pressure groups are there. They promote regionalism, communalism, casteism, fundamentalism, racism. We have to use these terms in our writing skills to enrich our content. They also create biased media, promote undemocratic practices. We can easily witness all these points in India. Now, a mature society with increasing specialization and differentiation gives rise to boost of needs and interests that for their effective channeling to the political process necessitate the growth of great number of secondary association. Political parties and pressure groups are the two most important types of this much needed secondary structure. And the pressure group is not a novel political phenomena currently evident in political process of modern society. It is indeed as old as political party, and in certain instances must have been older than political party. For example, in India, Congress founded in 1885 was a pressure group, which later converted into full-fledged political party. So, a pressure group, again we are reiterating the point. A pressure group is an organized social group whose members share common attitudes, beliefs in or interest, and which seek to influence public policies in the light of this attitude or interest without ever trying to take over any responsibility of the government. Thus, a social group may be called as a pressure group only when it has a clearly identifiable formal structure. Its members are linked to each other in terms of their common attitude or interest. It seeks to influence the process of public decision making. A pressure group operates in an environment dominated also by other groups and by the government institutions. The type of this environment is an important determinant of its strategy and tactic. While the objective of pressure group may converge with that of some others, it may also face a conflict of interest in relation to some groups. Hence, the environment for the operation of the pressure group can be developed into the following components. other groups and their interest, whether supportive or conflicting. Governmental institutions representing the decision makers who are actually target of pressure groups activity, whether having an attitude of sympathy or hostility toward the pressure group. Political parties, weaker parties make wide room for pressure groups activity, while the position is just the reverse when the parties are very strong. The people and their political culture are also an important element in the environment that a pressure group can hardly disregard. Based on above factors, the basic strategy of the pressure group may either be one of adjustment or be one of the struggle, and accordingly it evolves its style of action. The primary goal of pressure group is to influence the government decision. So all these are about political parties and pressure group. In next lecture we will cover nation, citizenship and democracy. Thank you very much.